Have you ever just wondered why a tiny handful of things, videos, books, people, get all the attention, while almost everything else just gets lost in the noise? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden force that pretty much shapes our entire world. And it all starts with a simple but really powerful lie: the average. Okay, let's just jump right in with a big question. Is the average a complete myth? I mean, we talk about average height, average salary, and we think we're describing something, typical. But what if, in a lot of the areas that really matter, the typical experience is actually so rare it might as well not even exist? This slide just perfectly lays out the two completely different worlds we live in. On one side, you've got human height. It follows this really predictable pattern, right? Most of us are clustered right around the average. You're just never going to meet someone who's 5 times taller than the average person. It's physically impossible. But then you look at something like YouTube views, and whoa, it is a completely different universe. A tiny, tiny fraction of videos gets basically all the attention, while millions get pretty much nothing. The average view count here is totally meaningless.
So first, let's explore the world we think we live in. This is a world built on averages. Let's call it the game of predictability. This is the world where things are reliable, they're consistent. It's your daily commute, it's the weather forecast, it's that steady, day-by-day progress you make on a big project.
This world is governed by what's called the normal distribution, which you probably know as the bell curve. And a good way to think about it is like this. Your height is the result of a whole bunch of small, random, and additive things. Your genetics, your nutrition, all that stuff. They all add up to a pretty predictable result. It's kind of like a simple casino game. Just imagine you flip a coin 100 times, and you win $1 for every single time it comes up heads. In that game, your expected payout is going to be a rock-solid $50. The average is a fantastic predictor. I mean, sure, you might get $48 one time, maybe $53 the next, but if you play that game over and over and over, all those little variations just cancel each other out. Consistency is what pays off. This is the world of averages, and honestly, it feels safe, predictable, and yeah, maybe a little bit boring. But what if I told you that in so many of the most important parts of life, we're talking your career, your finances, creative projects, that safe, predictable world just doesn't exist? So let's walk over to a different table in this casino, one that plays by a completely different set of rules. This is the game of wild extremes, and it's where our intuition about averages just completely breaks down. Welcome to a bizarre little game called the St. Petersburg Paradox. The rules are super simple. We're going to flip a coin until it lands on heads. The payout starts at $1, but it doubles with every single flip. So if you get heads on the first toss, you get $2. Get a tails, then a heads, you get 4. 2 tails, then a heads, $8, and on it goes. Now, most of the time, you're going to walk away with a pretty small amount. But what if you get a really, really long streak of tails? And this is where our brains just shatter. The theoretical average payout of this game is infinite. Now, why? How is that possible? Because even though a massive win is incredibly unlikely, the potential payout is so astronomically huge that it just completely breaks the math of averages. In this world, the average tells you absolutely nothing useful at all. And that gets us to the really crucial point here. In these extreme worlds, a single outlier can dominate everything. And this isn't just some theoretical game. This is how things like wealth, social media, and book sales actually work in the real world. It's the world of the unexpected, the unpredictable, and yeah, the wildly successful. And this quote just illustrates the idea perfectly. Think about it. If you're in a room with 9 regular people and Bill Gates walks in, the average wealth in that room isn't going to be, a few $1,000s. It's going to be billions. The average is completely skewed, totally made meaningless by one single massive outlier. This is the nature of what's called a power law distribution, a pattern where one single event can be more important than all the other ones combined. And this isn't just some funny analogy. I mean, look at YouTube. The data is just staggering. Less than 4% of all videos on the platform get over 93% of all the views. The entire system is driven by a tiny handful of runaway hits, while the vast, vast majority just sit there with hardly any views. I mean, think about your own viewing habits. How many times have you clicked on a video with millions of views while you scroll right past one with just a few hundred? So why? Why does this happen? What is it that causes some systems to behave so unpredictably? Well, the answer comes from this really fascinating concept in physics called criticality.
It's this idea that some systems, on their own, naturally organize themselves right to a tipping point, where one tiny little change can have a massive, unpredictable effect.
Let's look at the forest fire effect. So a forest grows dense over many, many years, right? It becomes this perfect tinderbox just waiting for a spark. Then a lightning strike hits. Now, the cause is always the same, a single, tiny spark. But the outcome? It can be wildly different. Sometimes the fire just fizzles out after burning a few trees. But other times, it turns into a mega fire that destroys absolutely everything. You see, the forest naturally organizes itself to what's called a critical point. It's a tipping point where it's just perfectly primed for a chain reaction. And at that point, the system has no natural scale. A tiny cause can have a tiny effect, or it can have an absolutely massive one. The system is, by its very nature, unpredictable. It's a world where literally anything can happen. So, what on earth does all this mean for us in our lives? It means the most important thing you can possibly do is to know what kind of game you're playing, because the strategy for success is completely different in each of these worlds. Are you trying to build a sandcastle, one little grain at a time, or are you trying to start a wildfire? This slide just breaks it down perfectly. In the normal world, think running a restaurant or flying an airline, the key is consistency. You have to fill those tables every single day because the average really, really matters. But in a power law world, like venture capital, book publishing, or being an author, the key is persistence. You're just making repeated, intelligent bets, knowing full well that most of them are going to fail. You're not looking for average returns. You are hunting for that one massive outlier that pays for everything else. So the crucial takeaway is this: you have to identify the world you're operating in. If it's a world of averages, then be consistent, be reliable, master your craft, and just deliver quality every single time. But if you're in a world of extremes, you have to understand that most of your efforts will probably go to zero, and that's okay. Your job is to just keep taking smart shots on goal over and over until one of them creates that massive win. Be persistent and do not be afraid to fail. And that leaves us with one last big thought. From your career to your investments to your creative projects, the most important game you play is your own. So take a second and really think about it. What are its rules? Are you playing for the average or are you hunting for the outlier? Because in a world of extremes, sometimes the only thing more dangerous than taking a risk is not taking one at all.